Hello again, I'm Dudley Thompson, and welcome again to WDT Media TV. And again, please like, share, and subscribe. Shortly after, the PNP held a press conference highlighting irregularities in the just concluded elections. The GLP held a counter press conference to counter claims made by the PNP. Here now is Chris Tufton addressing what is said are false claims by the PNP.
The explicit comment around voter suppression and vote buying. Now, again, they have not provided any evidence. In fact, their position is that, as seen on social media, again, rumors, hearsay, innuendos, which from our perspective does not reflect truth, because there's no evidence to suggest it. It is again a case of the PNP engaging in guilty by hearsay, which clearly is not appropriate and does not augur well for a democratic tradition. So again, we say to them, if they have the evidence, they should provide the evidence, and let the law take its course. We have seen cases on social media too, suggesting on their side, persons making comments. We have maintained our position to go out there and do the work and to ensure that our supporters or workers provide the appropriate representation as part of the campaign and hence impact the outcome of those elections. Their willingness to advance in an assertive way through a press conference that somehow voter suppression and vote buying may, and again, it's both explicitly stated but also implicitly transmitted, may have affected the outcome of the elections, again, to our mind, is a case of sour grapes. And what they need to do is to engage in their own process of self-reflection to determine exactly what they may have done wrong to place them in that position. We don't mind because we have done well and we have made our point and our case to the Jamaican people. Voter suppression and vote buying, not one that we want to dwell on, but it was in 2019 that their own General Secretary, or former General Secretary Paul Burke, reported in the media that comrades, and I'm quoting him, have no moral authority to condemn anyone for vote buying. Now, we have not made that an issue, but since they have raised it, we can respond by saying their own internal functionaries, certainly in that period, have made comments about vote buying as a matter of recognition that it has happened in their camp. We have no such occurrence, not to my memory anyway, and therefore we want to again condemn that statement or that insinuation and urge the People's National Party to engage in their own self-reflection about where they went wrong, as opposed to trying to blame others for their defeat at the polls.
The JLP also addressed the issue the PNP had, or have rather, with the seat was won by the Prime Minister, and she also addressed that particular issue.
I did that in a seat where the victory was proclaimed with a margin of 2,110 votes. That is the seat of St. Andrew West Central, the seat in which the Most Honorable Andrew Holness was a successful candidate, that they're contemplating a constitutional motion in respect of that result. They spoke of irregularities, but gave no details of their allegations. They're broadly referencing social media again. And it's difficult to say anything other than that the party finds the position taken by the PNP in respect of St. Andrew West Central to be baseless, to be frivolous, to be yet another indicator of a sense of desperation and an unwillingness to face the results and enter into introspection. The PNP not having exercised their right to file for a magisterial recount and to now take this position raises its own set of questions. And I just want to share a few more considerations why it is that we feel that this step is so wrong-footed and unfortunate. Having consulted with the Jamaica Labour Party representatives on the ECJ, it's our information and our best information that the presiding officers, that the returning officer and the electoral day workers deployed in the polling stations on election day, including those in West Central, that none of them reported any irregularities in West Central St. Andrew to the designated authorities. We're also advised that the Electoral Office of Jamaica's Election Center, where representatives of both major political parties sit, along with several wide-ranging independent representatives, received absolutely no complaints about any irregularity in St. Andrew West Central on General Election Day. Furthermore, it's our information that the constituted authority, which has the power to stop the holding of an election in a particular constituency where irregularities are perceived, so they can actually do that in the course of the day. And this authority is chaired by the chairman of the Electoral Commission. They also received no report of any irregularity in the constituency on election day. So the several legal bodies or constituted bodies which are empowered to take decisions in respect of irregularities, none of them received any reports. The margin of 2,110 votes is similar to the margin that has been reflected in this seat consistently since 2002. And in fact, in particular, in respect of the Seaward primary polling stations, which were the last ones to come in, I think everyone remembers the nail-biting moments where the television stations had the Prime Minister as trailing, I believe was the language used, because those winning boxes were not in. And they're not winning boxes this election. Every election, the electors who vote in Seaward primary polling stations vote overwhelmingly in support of their preferred candidate, Andrew Michael Holness. And the PNP in those polling stations generally doesn't even get 100 votes. It's not unusual. You see it in constituencies across the whole length and breadth of Jamaica. There are some polling stations that vote overwhelmingly in support of a particular candidate. In the Prime Minister's constituency, Seaward primary polling stations do generally produce these very high margins. And the numbers are there. This is not, difficult research to conduct. I was trying to find my little graph because I had the chart, but unfortunately misplaced it before we sat down today. But the numbers are quite clear that this margin is not unusual. And it's in that overall context, in the totality of those circumstances, that it's very difficult to say that the PNP's, to say anything other than the fact that the PNP's approach today, the matter that they're contemplating, is without basis. It is mischievous and, again, demonstrative of a lack of readiness to lead. If they can't even lead in opposition, how could they lead in government when they really cannot take any opportunity to just be big? It's very disappointing. I want to raise one more issue, and this is one of particular legal concern for us. And in addition to the points which the chairman Tufton raised, the fact that we too have heard persons making allegations in respect of vote buying and voter suppression of the on the part of the PNP. But these are things that you wait to try to get evidence for. You make an inquiry, but nothing has really brought those issues fully together. What does, however, provide us with greater and more concrete concern is the issue of the leader of the opposition touring constituencies apart from his own on election day and in being in the vicinity of polling stations outside of his constituency on election day. Videos and photographs of this activity have now come to hand, including his visit in the precincts of a polling station in central Kingston in particular. We're of the view, the considered legal view, that the conduct of the opposition leader on general election day, September 3rd, 2025, is inconsistent with the provisions of the Representation of the People's Act, and we will say more on this at a later date. Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Thank you. Get bogged down too much in their business. Let them say what they want and let the people decide. The people have already decided as it relates to the elections. If they want to further dig a hole for themselves, that's their response. That's their business.
And in support of what Chris has said, the people of Jamaica might recall that Dr. Campbell made two comments in the lead up to the general election, which caused the ECJ to have to put out statements of clarity. In the first instance, he suggested that he was purchasing integrity lamps to be used to scrutinize voters' IDs of electors. The ECJ put out a statement indicating that such an activity would be inappropriate. Then Dr. Campbell issued a statement where he purported to suggest that he might have some idea of the voting pattern or how election day workers and members of the security forces voted. The ECJ again issued a statement where there was a line in the statement which indicated that there's no way for any individual to assert with any certainty concerning how election day workers or any elector voted. Dr. Campbell might want to contemplate that he is doing a disservice to the good name of the ECJ, which is an institution that has served Jamaica very well over many years in the aftermath of a country which has been afflicted by political violence.
Jamaica. Going back to the points you made earlier in regards to, you mentioned wild accusations and the PNP's press conference being laced with innuendos, and you spoke specifically about the voter suppression and vote buying. So my question is the Jamaica Labour Party outrightly denying those allegations that there were voter suppression or vote buying in the September 3rd general election?
Is the Jamaica Labour Party what? Sorry?
Denying.
Denying.
Yeah.
Listen, we operate with a process. I have no knowledge of it. If someone has knowledge, they should bring it forward. That's what we're saying. You can't just go out there and say, wolf, wolf, and have no evidence, no basis on which to say it. Now, I am not going to swear for thousands and thousands of people who have been involved in the electoral process. What I'll say is that from a policy perspective, as a political organization, the Jamaica Labour Party, as a policy, does not support vote buying. We have not given any instruction for vote buying to take place. We have gone out there on our policies, our achievements, our manifesto, our political organization, the quality of our leadership at both the party as well as the constituency. And we believe the people have responded positively sufficient to place us back in office. Now, a responsible political organization cannot just go out there and start to spew allegations, particularly in the context that they have lost, as a means of trying to almost legitimize their loss, because that's what they seem to be doing. We're not going to subscribe to that. So I'm giving you a long-winded response. It's not our policy so to do. And if the PNP thinks that it is happening, they should provide the evidence. Otherwise, they should shut up. They should shut up, and I say so as diplomatically as possible. And focus on being an opposition, because democracy requires an opposition in the parliament. And we don't have a problem with that. We are the government, and the government in waiting, they are the opposition. They should go focus on their opposition role and let us focus on being the government, because that's what the people's wishes have confirmed.
And quite interesting is that the PNP said that they got information from social media, but the evidence is not sufficient to confirm the allegations, yet they brought it to a media conference. Our view is that this business of something is said on social media, and therefore that's the barometer to bring it to the platform of a media conference, is not acceptable. It's an indicator of the desperation of the PNP. And the PNP General Secretary might want to contemplate that there's a lot of things being said. There are a lot of things being said on social media, including about him.
Absolutely.
Does that mean that it's appropriate to bring those allegations to the platform of a media conference? I think not.
Yes, indeed. Vote buying and more to come from both sides. I'm Dudley Thompson, and again, please like, share, and subscribe. And as usual, thanks for watching.